Saichi Sugimoto was an ugly, useless veteran soldier who called himself an immortal.
Die! I'm the Immortal Sugimoto!
In the 37th year of the Meiji era, Japan went to war against Russia. A conflict known as the Russo-Japanese War. To everyone's surprise, Japan won. This marked the first time in modern history that an Asian power had defeated a European one. In the present day, a man named Sugimoto is searching for gold along a river because he needs money. Despite his bravery in the war, Japan didn't honor him as a hero or award him a medal. He once almost killed a superior officer he disliked, and that incident stained his record. A drunken, disgusting, ugly old man named Dakwon told Sugimoto a strange story about gold. A long time ago, you could find gold nuggets the size of soybeans along the riverbanks in Hokkaido. People would collect as much as 30 mamis worth of gold in a day. This period was considered a gold rush. According to Dakwon, some of the Ainu people, an indigenous group living in northern Japan, were secretly collecting and storing gold. They planned to use it to fight against the Japanese government, which continued to oppress them even after the Meiji Restoration by banning salmon and deer hunting and stealing their lands. But one man betrayed them all. He stole the gold and killed the Ainu who had it. 20 cans worth. It was enough to buy every brothel in Otaru and still have money left over. The police started chasing the man, so he hid the gold somewhere in Hokkaido. But before he could tell anyone where it was, he was caught and thrown into Abashiri prison, known as the prison at the far end of the earth, and sentenced to death. He wanted to tell his comrades outside where the gold was, but he couldn't write letters since the guards would intercept and steal them, no matter what they did to him. He refused to reveal the location of the gold. Eventually, one of the cruel guards cut one of his leg tendons, so he couldn't escape, and forced him to tattoo a secret code onto the bodies of his fellow death row inmates. Only his trusted allies on the outside could decipher the code. Before he died, the man told the prisoners, "Escape from this prison. Whoever succeeds can have half the treasure." To crack the code, you need all the tattooed bodies. When some corrupt military officials heard the rumors, they pretended they were transporting the prisoners, but instead tried to use them to find the treasure. However, the prisoners seized the opportunity to escape. They killed the soldiers and fled into the forest. None were ever caught, and no one knows what happened to the gold. Sugimoto at first thought the story was just a tall tale, especially since Dakwon had once told him that Eza wolves still existed in the forest, even though they were supposed to be extinct. But then Dakwon suddenly fell asleep, and Sugimoto remembered a promise he made to his friend Taraji before he died, to take care of Taraji's blind wife, Yumiko. To do that, he needed money. He needed that gold. When Sugimoto turned around, he realized Dakwon had disappeared. He was now behind him, aiming a gun at his back. Dakwon regretted telling Sugimoto about the gold and wanted to kill him, but Sugimoto didn't flinch. He even pressed the barrel of the gun to his own chest and dared him. "Want to see if I'm really immortal?" Dakwon hesitated, and Sugimoto smashed his face with a rock. Terrified, Dakwon ran away. Sugimoto smiled. Maybe that ridiculous story was actually true after all. Sugimoto searched the forest, expecting Dakwon to come back and try again. But instead, he found Dakwon's corpse, killed by a bear. When Sugimoto stripped the body, he saw the tattoo. Dakwon was one of the prisoners. The tattoo proved the story was real. Sugimoto carried Dakwon's body, knowing the bear would return if he left it. But then he saw a bear cub. The mother bear appeared behind him. The bear attacked. Sugimoto tried to reach for his rifle, but it was stuck due to his own clumsiness. He fell down, and just as the bear was about to eat him, an arrow struck the beast. A young Ainu girl had saved him. Her name was Asurpa. She warned Sugimoto to stay away from the bear, saying that even though her arrow was poisoned, a bear can still move 10 steps before dying. After a few minutes, the bear died. Asurpa began skinning the bear, carefully removing the poisoned meat so it wouldn't ruin the pelt. She asked about the body Sugimoto was carrying, and he explained what happened to Dakwon. But Asurpa was confused. Bears fresh out of hibernation have empty stomachs, so it couldn't have eaten Dakwon. She showed Sugimoto the bear's stomach. It was empty. That meant the killer was a metakarip, a bear that failed to hibernate. They're extremely aggressive and dangerous. Asurpa warned Sugimoto not to take the body. Once a metakarip has claimed its food, it will chase you anywhere to get it back. Sugimoto refused to abandon the corpse. Asurpa told him to fight the bear then, since he was just a useless soldier anyway. Sugimoto told Asurpa everything Dakwon had told him, even though he wasn't sure if it was all true. He couldn't let a beast eat the body. He needed the tattoo. He needed the gold for Yumiko for Taraji. Asurpa believed him and agreed to help. That night, they gathered firewood to use as torches and prepared an ambush. Dakwon's body would be the bait. As Sugimoto moved the body, Asurpa noticed something about the tattoo. It was cut at the median lines of the body, like the marks made when skinning a deer or a bear. She realized the man who designed the tattoo didn't intend to share the treasure. He planned to kill the prisoners and skin them. Sugimoto wanted to skin Daquan right then, but Asurpa said there was no time. They had to kill the Metakarip first. Suddenly, the bear appeared and destroyed the firewood. Sugimoto punched it, but it didn't flinch. He was wounded and pinned down. Asurpa wanted to shoot, but it was too dark. Sugimoto told her to wait, afraid she might hit him. He would stab the bear first to give her a chance. Suddenly, there was a flash of light. Asurpa shot her arrow, and Sugimoto stabbed the bear at the same time. The bear turned on Asurpa, but she dodged and prepared her knife. Just then, Asurpa's white wolf, Ritar, arrived to protect her. While the wolf distracted the bear, Asurpa shouted to Sugimoto, telling him where to aim. From where you are, the heart is under the armpit. Watch for the shoulder blade and aim carefully. Sugimoto shot the bear. It charged him and collapsed on top of it. He stabbed it again, finally killing. Sugimoto survived. Asurpa pulled him out from under the beast. He asked about the white dog, and Asurpa explained it was a wolf. Sugimoto was shocked. He thought they were extinct. Asurpa then revealed something personal. 5 years ago, her father and 7 men from their village were killed while transporting the gold. Their bodies were chopped up and fed to beasts. Some parts were believed to be her father's. They never even knew the killer had been arrested and sent to Abashiri prison, or that tattooed prisoners existed. Sugimoto asked her to join him in finding the gold. It rightfully belonged to her people, and he only wanted a small share. But Asurpa didn't want to kill anyone. She feared going to hell. Sugimoto reassured her, the man who killed your father is probably still alive in the prison. The government needs him to find the gold. But once it's found, he's worthless. They'll kill him. Finding the gold is your only chance for justice, he promised her. I'll be the one to dirty my hands. You just lend me your wisdom. I want the money. You want revenge for your father. Different goals. Same path. If we join forces, we'll be unstoppable. Sugimoto said that if the escaped prisoners were looking for the gold, they would remain in Hokkaido. That's why he planned to search for them all. Asurpa pointed out that Hokkaido is a vast place, but Sugimoto argued that the prisoners weren't wild animals. They wouldn't survive hiding in the mountains. In small villages, outsiders stand out. A fugitive would likely want to blend in with the crowd in a big city. The most populated cities in Hokkaido were Sapporo, Hakodate, Asahikawa, and they were currently in Otaru. At the end of the Meiji era, Otaru had grown from a port town into a powerful financial hub, earning the nickname the Wall Street of the North. It was the largest commercial city in Hokkaido, with nearby Ainu villages. Sugimoto went to an inn and asked a fat, ugly man bathing with him if he had seen anyone with a strange tattoo, but the man said no. Asurpa also asked some women outside, but they hadn't seen anything either. A disgusting jerk store owner got angry at Asurpa and planned to sell her. Asurpa punched him with a knife in self-defense. When the store owner tried to hurt her, Sugimoto arrived. Sugimoto told the store owner to look at his thumb, then stabbed it into the man's neck, asking if he knew anyone with such a tattoo. The man said he didn't, but he mentioned that someone else had been asking the same question. Sugimoto and Asurpa continued questioning people. Soon, they realized someone was following them. He pulled out a gun, but the two had already set a trap, catching him. He was one of the escaped prisoners. When the prisoner woke up, Sugimoto asked where the other prisoners were. He said he had assumed they would stick together to decode the map. But the prisoner said that he thought that too. But they started killing each other without realizing it. So he ran. Sugimoto realized that only one of the prisoners must have known that they needed to skin each other to gather the full code. Sugimoto was about to kill the man, but Asurpa reminded him of his promise not to kill unnecessarily. If he did, she wouldn't help him anymore. Sugimoto said he was just joking. He only wanted to scare the man to tell them some more things. They removed the prisoner's clothes so Asurpa could draw the tattoo pattern. Asurpa asked who gave him the tattoo. He said it was a man called Naparebo, meaning a man with no face. Suddenly, someone shot the prisoner. Asurpa created a smoke screen so they could escape. The shooter noticed the smoke and approached, but Sugimoto and Asurpa had already fled. He followed their footprints but got caught in their trap, allowing them to take his gun. Sugimoto was about to hit the man, but he dodged and pulled a knife. Sugimoto kicked him and said, "Move and I'll shoot." However, the man quickly dismantled Sugimoto's rifle. The man removed his coat, revealing he was a fellow useless soldier, just like Sugimoto. Based on his epaulette, he was part of the Hokkaido 7th Division, the Imperial Japanese Army's strongest division. They had fought in brutal battles like the siege of Port Arthur during the Russo-Japanese War, earning a fearsome reputation as the Guardians of the North. The man asked, "Who are you with?" Sugimoto replied, "I was with the 1st Division. My enlistment just ended." The man said, "Then we may have met at 203 Hill." He asked if Sugimoto was after money. Sugimoto said no. He was doing this for the woman he loved. The man attacked, but Sugimoto overpowered and broke his right arm. As he was about to stab him, Asurpa stopped him. When the man heard Sugimoto's name, he realized this was Immortal Sugimoto. He gouged Sugimoto's eyes with his fingers and ran. Sugimoto threw his rifle at him, causing him to fall off a cliff. Sugimoto said, "If he got away, his friends would have come after us. This was for the best." Asurpa asked what Immortal Sugimoto meant. He said, "I learned one way not to die in war, don't get killed." He clarified to Asurpa that he wasn't a murderer. "But if they're going to kill me, I'll kill them first without hesitation. The weak get eaten." That's the same everywhere. That night, other soldiers captured Ogata, the man Sugimoto had fought early. The next day, Sugimoto and Asurpa caught another prisoner, but no matter what Sugimoto asked, the prisoner stayed silent. Then he mocked Sugimoto by asking if the Ainu girl was his pet. Sugimoto got angry and threatened to break his jaw. Asurpa calmed him down, saying she didn't care about insults and was used to it. But Sugimoto replied, "You shouldn't have to be used to it." Asurpa pointed out a rabbit, saying that when rabbits run during the day, it means bad weather is coming, so they should find shelter. They planned to hide in a tent for the day. The prisoner, named Shiraishi, pulled an item from his mouth. He was a master escape artist, known as the Escape King. While Asurpa was catching the rabbit, Shiraishi escaped. Asurpa warned Sugimoto not to stray too far, as the weather was turning worse. Sugimoto chased Shiraishi and threatened to shoot him if he didn't stop. But Shiraishi didn't care if he died and kept going down. Suddenly, they heard sounds like gunshots, but Asurpa explained it was napusfam, an Ainu term meaning the sound of splitting trees. It happens when the temperature drops to minus 30 degrees Celsius, freezing the water inside trees and causing them to burst. Sugimoto fell into a hole in the ice, dragging Shiraishi into freezing water. They scrambled out quickly, knowing they had about 10 minutes before hypothermia would kill them. Shiraishi became confused and expressionless due to the cold. Sugimoto realized he had lost all his bullets. Determined to survive, he swam back into the freezing river to retrieve. He told Shiraishi, "If you don't want to die, help me find the bullet." Shiraishi made a deal. He would help in exchange for his life. Sugimoto agreed, having no other choice. Shiraishi remembered he had a bullet hidden in his mouth and almost forgot because of cold. They used the gunpowder to light a fire. Shiraishi revealed there were 24 tattooed prisoners in total, but he didn't know how many were still alive. He also didn't know much about Naparebo's friends. Only their leader had answered. Sugimoto asked what their leader was like. Shiraishi said, "I thought he was just an old political prisoner, quiet, like a model inmate. But he fooled us all. He stole a sword from a soldier right in front of me, and in less than a second, 3 men were dead. I later learned he was a survivor of the Hakodate War 30 years ago, a samurai from the old shogunate. Everyone thought he died during the war. His name is Hijikata Toshizo, the demon vice commander of the Shinsengumi." Shiraishi also shared that Naparebo told them to go to Otaru. Sugimoto warned him, "Give up on the Ainu gold and get out of Hokkaido. It's not just the other prisoners or Naparebo's allies. The 7th Division, battle-hardened from the Russo-Japanese War, is also after the tattoos." But Shiraishi replied with confidence, "No matter who catches me, I'll escape like smoke. After all, I'm the Escape King." Meanwhile, a soldier reported to Lieutenant Tsurumi that Ogata had regained consciousness, and Tsurumi planned to go see him. While traveling through the forest, Asurpa noticed something shining in the area where they had stayed that morning. Sugimoto was startled and quickly picked Asurpa up. What she saw were binoculars. They were being tracked by Ogata's companion. Sugimoto started running, and Asurpa told him, "Run through that bamboo grove. It'll be harder to follow your footsteps and will delay their pursuit." Sugimoto realized they wouldn't be able to escape together, so he told Asurpa they should split up, adding, "They're only tracking the adults." He handed Asurpa the tattooed skin and said, "If they catch you, hand it over without resisting. Pretend you don't know anything. They're not the kind of people who'd kill a child." Before they separated, Asurpa warned Sugimoto, "Don't fight those useless soldiers. You'll die." But Sugimoto just smiled and said, "I'm Immortal Sugimoto." The useless soldiers also split up. One of them noticed that Asurpa had concealed her tracks. "I'm from a Matagi family in Tohoku," he said. "I've seen animals do this, walking backward on their own tracks and jumping into a bamboo thicket to escape." The man caught up to Asurpa and told her to come down from the tree, saying he wouldn't hurt her. Asurpa placed the tattoos on a branch before climbing down. The man said he was only interested in her companion and asked, "Who was that you were with?" Suddenly, a rabbit jumped onto the branch, knocking the tattoos down. The man picked them up, surprised by what he saw. While his back was turned, Asurpa considered attacking him, but he anticipated her move. Then Ritar suddenly arrived to help her. Meanwhile, the useless soldiers caught up to Sugimoto and asked why he was running. "You're hunting poachers, right?" he said. "I was hunting forbidden deer. The Ainu kid was just my guide." But one of the soldiers recognized him from the Port Arthur Field Hospital. The three pointed their rifles at Sugimoto. One of them said, when Ogata woke up, he used all his strength to write one word: Immortal. Sugimoto ran into a bear's den to escape. One of the soldiers fired into the den, waking a hibernating bear. It quickly attacked and killed one of them. In the chaos, one accidentally shot his comrade. The other stabbed the bear in desperation. The man couldn't believe Ritar was an Ezo wolf. They were supposed to be extinct. Ritar snatched his gun and threw it aside. When the man kicked Ritar, the wolf bit his leg and slammed him to the ground until he could no longer fight. A Serpa finally called Ritar off. One remaining soldier shot the bear, but died from the injuries it had already inflicted on him. Sugimoto came out of the den carrying a baby bear. He met back up with a Serpa and asked, "Is the guy dead?" A Serpa thought to herself, "With his leg like that, he can't follow us. We can leave him." She lied and said, "Yeah, he's dead." Noticing the baby bear, a Serpa asked what Sugimoto planned to do with it. Nervously, he said he'd take care of it, but soon gave up, realizing he didn't know how. He handed the bear to a Serpa, assuming she'd eat it. But a Serpa said, "I won't eat it. When we catch baby bears, we raise them in our village." When they returned to a Serpa's village, she introduced Sugimoto to her grandmother. Sugimoto said he only came to deliver the bear and wouldn't stay long. A Serpa explained that her grandmother didn't speak Japanese. Despite that, the grandmother told Sugimoto to eat and stay the night. The man who was left behind woke up and tended to his broken leg. He admired Ritar's beauty, but vowed to find and kill him. A Serpa told Sugimoto about her family. "My grandfather died from an illness 6 years ago. My mother died shortly after I was born, so I don't really remember her." Her grandmother, speaking in the Ainu language, which Sugimoto couldn't understand, said, "A Serpa spends all her time in the mountains and can't do any women's work. She can't weave. She can't sew. A woman like that won't be able to marry an Ainu man. She's almost old enough for her tattoo, but she says she doesn't want it. Please, take her as your wife."
Daddy, chill.
"I'm so worried about her that I can't die in peace." Sugimoto asked a Serpa what her grandmother said. A Serpa jokingly replied, "She said not to eat peanuts."
Okay.
Back in the forest, one of the useless soldiers told Tsurumi, "It'll be hard to track them in this snow." Tsurumi replied, "None of the four of them are new to the mountains. Tanigaki is a Mitagi. It's hard to believe he's lost." Captain Wada then arrived, angry that Tsurumi had used his men. "One man in critical condition. 4 are missing. And I heard you brought a pile of weapons and ammo from Asahiko. You'll pay for all this," Wada said, poking Tsurumi. Tsurumi snapped and bit off Wada's finger. Wada ordered his man to shoot, but the useless soldier killed Wada instead, loyal now to Tsurumi. Elsewhere, during a climax, Ashiyama, the undefeated, was seen by Hijikata, leader of the prisoners. They fought evenly, but Hijikata showed Ashiyama a tattoo from a prisoner. "Put oiled paper on their skin and trace the tattoo. You'll get an accurate copy. There's no need to kill them." Hijikata offered a partnership. "We need a relationship of mutual interest." Ashiyama asked, "What are you gathering people for?" Hijikata answered, "At some point, we'll have to face the 7th Division. We're going to steal the tattooed skins they have." Ashiyama asked, "Are you planning to face the Imperial Army with an outdated weapon like a katana?" Hijikata replied, "No matter how old he gets, a boy always loves to swing around a katana." That night, a Serpa's uncle heard a wolf howl, and Sugimoto asked him about the story of Ritar and a Serpa. The uncle explained that a Serpa and her father found the wolf while they were out hunting. It looked like a small snowman, so they named it Ritar, which means white. The two were always together, even after her father was killed. A Serpa continued going into the mountains with Ritar alone, but they came from different worlds. One night, they heard a wolf's howl. A Serpa covered Ritar's ears because she didn't want him to leave her. But Ritar couldn't be kept as a pet. He was proud to be a Horkwamui, a divine wolf in Ainu culture. So, Ritar left a Serpa. After that, she stopped smiling. Lately, though, she has been much happier. Her uncle thinks it's because she enjoys traveling through the mountains with Sugimoto. While a Serpa was asleep, Sugimoto left without telling her. In the morning, a Serpa was angry that he left without a word, so she went into the forest to look for him. Sugimoto had gone to Otaru to visit the ugly, disgusting store owner and asked if anything strange had happened recently. The store owner said, "A girl who works at a place my friend owns was badly hurt by a customer. That customer had strange tattoos." Sugimoto went to the shop the store owner mentioned. The waitress there told him to eat first and that she would bring the injured girl to him. But instead, She told some useless soldiers about Sugimoto. Sugimoto ended up kicking and fighting the soldiers. He even wrestled one to the ground and kicked another in the face. But when the soldiers pointed their guns at him, Sugimoto didn't move. One of them hit him with a rifle. They were about to kill him when Lieutenant Tsurumi arrived and stopped them. The soldiers took Sugimoto to their hideout and interrogated him. Sugimoto claimed, "I was just hired by a regular customer of the injured girl. He told me to find the man with strange tattoos and make him pay. When I tried asking around, suddenly I was surrounded by armed men. Of course I ran." Sugimoto realized they weren't buying his excuse, so he had to come up with another way to escape. Tsurumi offered him kushi dango, skewered rice dumplings, which Sugimoto ate. Tsurumi already knew he was Immortal Sugimoto, which surprised Sugimoto. Two of the useless twin soldiers sat him down. Sugimoto insisted, "You've got the wrong guy. My name's not Sugimoto." Tsurumi replied, "I saw Immortal Sugimoto once at Port Arthur. I was far away, but I was amazed at how he fought like a demon. I saw how you fought at the soba shop, and I knew it was you." Sugimoto denied it again, saying, "I was in the 2nd Regiment. I wasn't at Port Arthur. Looks like you've really got the wrong guy." Tsurumi continued, "Why did Ogata attack Immortal Sugimoto? Because you had one of the tattooed skins that shows where the gold is. You ran because you were afraid we'd find out. Where did you hide it?" Sugimoto kept pretending he didn't know anything about gold or tattoos. Tsurumi then shoved the skewer stick into Sugimoto's mouth, surprised that Sugimoto didn't even blink. "You really are Immortal Sugimoto," Tsurumi said. "If I can't blow out the candle of your life, then I'll chew it down from the top." Meanwhile, Usurpa let Ritar sniff Sugimoto's disgusting socks to help track him down. Back at the base, Tsurumi told Sugimoto, "There's only one way to survive this. Work for me. I lost many men on the battlefield. I need more. I have fewer than 100 men searching all of Hokkaido." Sugimoto replied, "That's too many people to split the gold with, isn't it?" Tsurumi answered, "The gold will be our war chest. The weapons and ammo we stole from Asahikawa won't last forever." Sugimoto asked, "What are you planning to do?" Tsurumi said, "Buy weapons from an American. The latest weapons, gathered from all over the world. First, we'll take over the 7th Division. Then, we'll capture the major ports that control the flow of goods to the mainland. Hokkaido will be ours. We were heroes on the battlefield. But when we returned, we were treated like bums. Did you gain anything from the war? Or did you lose even more? I want brave soldiers like you. Fight with us." Sugimoto removed the stick from his mouth and said, "This is a waste of time." Tsurumi replied, "Maybe I'll bite down on that candle then." Usurpa and Ritar finally arrived in Otaru. Usurpa opened a house window, only to discover that the disgusting smell Ritar followed led them not to Sugimoto, but to Shiraishi. Sugimoto had worn the wrong socks. Shiraishi realized that Sugimoto had betrayed Usurpa and that the rumors about him might be true. He said, "Yesterday, a man with a big scar on his face got into a huge fight before being taken to the 7th Division's hideout. He's probably long dead." Usurpa pointed her bow at Shiraishi and demanded that he take her to the 7th's hideout. Shiraishi agreed, but pretended he just needed to wash his face, then tried to escape. But he didn't get far. Ritar's sharp nose caught a scent. That night, the twin useless soldiers went to Sugimoto's room intending to kill him. But Sugimoto had but one and trapped the other with his legs. One of them stabbed Sugimoto, but he managed to stop them. Shiraishi already revealed the location of the 7th Division's hideout. The windows have iron bars, and guards stand watch at the entrance all night. We can try to rescue him, but it might already be too late. Even the Immortal Sugimoto can't rely on his luck forever. But Usurpa still believes Sugimoto is alive. His strength comes from his heart. He doesn't fear death. The only other person she knows who would throw himself into a bear's den like that is her father. Sugimoto always gets as close as possible to death, and that's how he survives. That's what makes him immortal. Sugimoto stabbed one of the twins in the neck with his thumb and kicked him. The other twin stabbed Sugimoto in the leg, but Sugimoto struck him with a piece of wood and kept hitting them. Then some useless soldiers arrived and pulled the twins away. Tsurumi ordered that the twins be taken away from Sugimoto. Shiraishi saw Sugimoto and informed Usurpa that he was still alive. He added, "He's locked up, which means he must have hidden the tattoo somewhere. Those iron bars look old and rusty. If we can remove one, I can dislocate my joints and slip inside. I'll help you save Sugimoto. Just give me a share of the gold." Usurpa agreed, saying she wasn't after the gold anyway. Once they find it, he and Sugimoto can split it. Sugimoto knew the twins would return to kill him, so he prepared himself. Suddenly, Shiraishi sneaked in through the window. At the same time, The soldiers' horses started panicking. They thought someone was trying to steal them, so they ran to check. Asurpa guessed that the horses sensed Ritar nearby, which made them uneasy. Shiraishi tried to untie Sugimoto, but the twins suddenly returned. Yohei told his twin that he would take care of Sugimoto himself, but when he shut the door, he realized his bayonet was gone. Sugimoto had taken it. Sugimoto attacked and strangled Yohei to death. His twin couldn't believe it. Then Tsurumi arrived to inspect the scene. He told Sugimoto, "Your life's like a candle in the wind." Sugimoto pleaded for help, promising to give up the tattooed skins or anything else Tsurumi wanted. Tsurumi smiled and ordered his men to prepare a horse and take Sugimoto to the best hospital in the city. Wake up a doctor and have him treated, even if it means putting a gun to someone's head. The soldiers rushed Sugimoto to the hospital. Meanwhile, Tsurumi examined Yohei's corpse and found something odd. A deep wound on his right hand made it hard to hold a bayonet, but his left hand was unharmed. He also noticed bloody fingerprints on the belt's other side. Tsurumi realized Sugimoto had faked being wounded. Suddenly, Sugimoto punched one of the soldiers out of the carriage, and also the driver. In a flash, Tsurumi caught up and aimed at him, but Asurpa shot Tsurumi's horse with an arrow, causing it to fall. Even though Tsurumi tried to chase them on foot and aimed his gun at Sugimoto, he changed his mind and lowered it. When Tsurumi returned to the hideout, it was burning. A soldier apologized, saying the fire spread too fast, and they didn't retrieve the tattoos. But Tsurumi was already wearing them under his clothes. Shiraishi, disguised as a soldier, realized why he couldn't find the tattooed skins. They had never been left behind. Later, Sugimoto and Asurpa reunited on a mountain. Asurpa gave Sugimoto a massive smack on the head. Meanwhile, Nagakura told Hijikata, "Enough money for now, and some modern foreign weapons. That's all I can give you." Hijikata thanked him, saying it was enough. Nagakura added, "If only I weren't so stiff these days. I'm too old to keep up with you." Hijikata replied, "Liar, you've been obsessed with the Shinsengumi for years. You must be excited." Ashiyama realized Nagakura was none other than Nagakura Shinpachi, the finest swordsman of the Shinsengumi. Shiraishi asked what they'd do with the horse. Sugimoto said they should take it, but Shiraishi pointed out it would stand out too much. They decided to get rid of it. Asurpa wanted to reward Ritar, so they chose to kill the horse. Shiraishi left to buy eggs from a local farm. Meanwhile, Sugimoto felt awkward being alone with Asurpa. She told him to rest because of his injuries. Sugimoto said, "This is what searching for the gold is going to be like. If something happened to you, I wouldn't know how to face your grandmother or the rest of the village." Asurpa gave him some horse meat to put on his face to help with swelling. Asurpa said, "I've already seen my father brutally killed. I know it's dangerous. I made my own decision to come with you because I believed I could achieve my goal. But the one who treated me like a child, didn't trust me as a partner, acted on his own, made foolish decisions, and got caught, that was you." Hijikata's group was now heading to find Shibukawa Zenjiro, a bandit leader. Hijikata said, "I sent a messenger this afternoon. I bet he didn't return. We're going in." Ashiyama warned they were outnumbered. Hijikata replied, "Numbers don't matter. Only those willing to risk their lives are worth anything. If you want to live, be ready to die." They stormed the bandit hideout. One man attacked, but Ashiyama threw him into the ceiling. Hijikata said to Shibukawa, "I sent a messenger, remember?" Shibukawa replied, "Yeah, I beat him up. He told me all I needed to know. The Ainu treasure sounds interesting. Show me your tattoos." Hijikata showed him the heads of Shibukawa's men outside. Then he asked, "Do we help each other? Or do we kill each other?" Shibukawa said, "You win," but then ordered his men to kill them. Hijikata immediately shot him and slaughtered the rest. "Kill them all. Don't let a single one escape," he told his men. Before they left, Nagakura told Hijikata, "They say a man who doesn't die when he should will face a shame worse than death. Starting a war at our age, it's madness. You're not looking for a place to die, are you?" Hijikata replied, "I plan on living for another century." After they wiped out Shibukawa's gang, Ashiyama asked Hijikata, "Are you trying to start a new Shinsengumi?" "Sorry, I'm only in it for the gold. Who'd believe in something crazy like taking over Hokkaido?" Hijikata answered, "There are many who dream of Ezo's independence, people who have lived here since long ago." The next morning, Asurpa asked where Shiraishi went. Sugimoto said he went to town to gather information. "It's probably best if I stay out of town for now," he added. While they were tracking a deer Sugimoto shot, Asurpa found footprints, those of a dog and two men. One of them has a limp. Did he injure his right leg? She wondered. She realized it was Tanigaki, the soldier they had left behind in the forest. Tanigaki's companion said, Comparing Hokkaido's brown bears to the black bears we Mitagi hunt in Tohoku is like comparing wolves to pups. But this pup is eye-raised. It's not afraid of brown bears. Tanigaki commented that the Murata rifle is hard to use. It only holds 1 bullet. His companion said, the rifles the other soldiers use hold 5 rounds. That's convenient. But if you have 5 bullets, you think you get 5 chances. I only have 1 shot, so I make sure I'm satisfied with it. He told his dog Ryu to find a female bear and mate with it. Don't interfere, he warned Tanigaki. This is between me and the bear. When Ryu found a hibernating bear, the man stood directly in front of the den and startled it. Tanigaki was shocked. If you get scared and stand up, you lose, the man said, and then he shot the bear. Tanigaki asked, you're looking for a white wolf too, aren't you? Back home, a medicine seller told me about an incredibly skilled bear hunter in Hokkaido. He said that once this hunter enters a mountain, all the bears vanish. He told me your name. Nihei Tetsuzo. Nihei said that a bear with a face like this would have attacked humans someday. Tanigaki asked, how can you be so sure? Nihei pointed to the bear's womb and explained, it's a 6-year-old female that has never given birth. Bears like this get more and more violent over time. Among brown bears, females are often more aggressive and dangerous, just like humans. Nihei continued, if you're a Mitagi, you should know that every bear is unique. Some get scared and run, while others will attack no matter how many times you shoot them. I've killed over 200 bears, but no 2 hunts have been the same. They're different, but they have similar habits. If you understand those habits well, it helps. Both Nihei and Tanigaki have never hunted a wolf before, so Nihei wants to catch one. Human traps drove wolves to extinction, he said. But one last wolf survived through a battle of wits. This will be a battle between its uniqueness and mine. My hunter's soul is getting erection. A Serpa saw footprints beneath a sakhaline fir tree and was sure that the deer Sugimoto had shot earlier went there to rest. She went down the mountain and startled the deer. Sugimoto hurried down as well, but the deer ran away again. A Serpa said it climbed up another path. I can't believe it still has that much stamina. Since it was getting dark, a Serpa suggested they wait until morning and follow the tracks then. Nihei asked Tanigaki, why are you still wearing that cap? It doesn't suit you. Why not return home and go back to being a Mitagi? Tanigaki replied, I stayed in the military for a reason. I was ready to leave my home in Akita. But when I was in the mountains, it felt like something toxic was leaving my body. We Mitagi say to bears, may you be born again, and hear pleasant sounds when we send them to the next life. But I never said that to the people I killed in the war. Nihei told him, the wolf hunt is just an excuse. You can't go back to the military or to your home. Your hunter soul is wandering the forests of Hokkaido. When we kill that wolf, take its pelt and return home. Tanigaki took off his cap and burned it. The next morning, a Serpa and Sugimoto found where the deer had slept the night before, but it had already left. Tanigaki asked Nihei how he planned to hunt the wolf. Nihei answered, first, we need bait. We'll shoot a deer. Tanigaki questioned why, since they had plenty of bear meat. Nihei explained, if you saw a peeled persimmon lying on the road, would you eat it? When you're hunting, you have to think like your prey. A Serpa noticed the deer's tracks were uneven. It was running out of strength. She pointed out where it was hiding, and Sugimoto slowly approached from another direction. As Ryu sniffed the area, he got scared, meaning they were in the wolf's territory. A Serpa coughed to startle the deer, and it ran. Sugimoto was ready, but when he aimed, he saw himself in the deer and missed. The deer escaped, but Ritar chased it down and caught it. Sugimoto observed the deer and said, the blood on its wound had frozen into an icicle. It didn't have enough body heat left to melt it, but it was still trying to live. When it looked at me, I couldn't move. This thing is me. A Serpa told him, if you can't take responsibility for the kill, don't shoot at all. Nihei and Tanigaki heard Sugimoto's gunshot. It sounded like Tanigaki's gun. While a Serpa was skinning the deer, Ritar sensed something coming. A Serpa quickly told Sugimoto they had to leave. When Nihei and Tanigaki arrived, a Serpa and Sugimoto were gone. Nihei saw Ritar's tracks and said, there's no sign it ate anything. Did it make the kill? And the hunters just took the meat? They didn't clean up well. Tanigaki recognized Sugimoto and a Serpa's footprints and confirmed it was them. He noted that Ritar wasn't afraid of a Serpa and wondered why. Nihei realized, so they left the meat for the wolf. Maybe it will come back to eat it. Nihei said they should bathe, since they were dealing with a wolf with a sharp sense of smell. Back at the tent, Shiraishi had returned and told Sugimoto he had learned about a prisoner with one of the gold tattoos. He heard from a pelt trader that a man arrested for 3 murders had reappeared in Otaru. He was a skilled hunter, feared and respected, known as Nihei Tetsuzo, the hunter who gives hibernating bears bad dreams. Tanigaki was shocked when he saw Nihei's tattoo. He pointed his gun at him. Nihei asked, "Are you going to shoot me, rip off my skin, and return to the military? Are you a Mitagi or a soldier? Which are you now?" Asurpa had heard stories about Nihei. She said there was once a group of bad guys who killed hunters and stole their prey. But one day, they picked the wrong guy. Nihei explained, "I had just killed a bear and was cleaning it when someone shot at me to steal it. But I wasn't scared. I hunted them down for 3 days and killed them one by one. The police got to the last guy before I could. But I still killed him in front of them. I'm not an animal. I'm human, and humans follow their own laws. My punishment for following the laws of the mountains was to be sent to Abashiri prison. I escaped because I wanted to die in the mountains. At the end of my journey, I'll be eaten by beasts, become part of the mountain. That's my ideal death." Tanigaki understood and lowered his gun. Sugimoto realized Nihei was the man they had seen earlier. Shiraishi added that Nihei once asked a pelt trader, "If I had a white wolf pelt, what would you pay for it?" Asurpa was shocked. Ritar was his target. The next morning, Nihei and Tanigaki returned to the deer meat, but saw that Ritar had beaten them to it. Tanigaki realized Ritar was a watching wolf, a rare kind of wolf that observes humans. "He's been watching us since we got here," he said. Nihei declared, "My boner won't stop." Nihei burned what Ritar had left behind, creating a terrible smell. "I'm going to make him hate us. Make him see us as intruders." Sugimoto, Asurpa, and Shiraishi saw the smoke. Asurpa and the others spotted Nihei. Ritar came into view, and Nihei aimed. Asurpa triggered Nihei's trap before Ritar could step on it, allowing the wolf to escape. Nihei missed his shot. Ritar ran off quickly, and Nihei realized someone had interfered. Sugimoto told him to lower his gun. When Nihei saw Shiraishi, he realized they wanted his tattoo. Ryu suddenly attacked to protect Nihei, and Nihei grabbed a knife. Sugimoto stopped him, sliced several of his fingers, and stabbed him. Nihei hit Sugimoto with his gun, but Sugimoto overpowered him. Nihei said, "You're ready to become animal right?" Nihei struck at Sugimoto, but Sugimoto dodged and grabbed Nihei's dagger. Nihei managed to push Sugimoto back, but Sugimoto kept attacking and drove the dagger into Nihei's arm. Meanwhile, Shiraishi tried to take Sugimoto's gun from Ryu, but Ryu bit him. In frustration, Shiraishi threw Ryu away, took the gun, and pointed it at Nihei. Suddenly, Tanigaki took Asurpa hostage, forcing Shiraishi to lower the gun. Sugimoto became furious and threw his dagger at Tanigaki. As he approached Tanigaki, Nihei blocked his path. Shiraishi called out to Tanigaki, saying, "That's a coward's way of fighting, using an innocent girl as a hostage." Tanigaki replied, "I don't believe she's innocent. She's carrying one of the tattooed skins." Asurpa then told Tanigaki, "I'm not worth that much to Shiraishi. He'll shoot me when I'm no longer useful. We shouldn't fight. Let's both retreat." Nihei warned, "Don't believe her. Women are scary." Tanigaki told Shiraishi to throw away the gun. "I'm willing to have a gunfight with her standing between us," he said. Sugimoto then told Shiraishi, "Lower your weapon." He said to Nihei, "Don't let her see this. Take her far away." Nihei agreed and asked Tanigaki to toss him something to tie them up with. The two allowed themselves to be tied. Nihei told Tanigaki, "Take her somewhere far enough that she can't hear the screams." As soon as Tanigaki left and Nihei looked away, Sugimoto and Shiraishi escaped. While running, Shiraishi asked, "What now?" Sugimoto answered, "We sneak up on them, catch them off guard, and get Asurpa back." Later, Nihei informed Tanigaki that the two had escaped. Asurpa was happy, but Tanigaki told her to stay quiet. He said, "I'm at a disadvantage in the forest. I need to find a clearing where I can see." As they walked near a river, Asurpa warned, "Don't go this way. It's a deer trap." But it was too late. Tanigaki was hit by the trap. Asurpa told him, "Untie me. That arrowhead is coated with wolfsbane. The poison is still in your body. If you don't hurry, you'll die." Tanigaki untied her and began to feel a burning sensation in his legs. Asurpa said, "I knew poisons have no antidote. The only way to survive is to cut out the poisoned flesh." Tanigaki said, "I don't care. Do what you must." Asurpa cut away the poisoned flesh. She wasn't sure if Tanigaki would survive. Then she said to Nihei, let's end this. We didn't come here to kill each other. But Nihei still planned to kill Ritar. Nihei asked Asurpa to bring Ritar to him, since Tanigaki had told him that Ritar was her friend. Asurpa refused, saying, Ritar is the last of the noble Horkyu Kamuy. Would you let the last of his kind die for filthy money? Nihei replied, wolves are already extinct. That's everyone's fault. The money doesn't matter. I just want to be the last man to ever see an Ezo wolf. Asurpa bit Nihei's ear in protest, and he threw her to the ground, smashing her face into the snow. Nihei said, I don't care if you scream. Just don't bite your tongue. That won't kill you, it'll just hurt. He tied Asurpa to a tree branch. Asurpa told him, I'm not trying to die. I just don't want Ritar to become a Wenkamui, a cursed spirit that killed a human and is doomed to hell. Nihei replied, don't worry. Humans aren't valuable. This is a battle between two beasts. But I'll be the only survivor. I'll make it quick, so he won't suffer. As Ritar approached, Nihei prepared to shoot. But Ritar zigzagged to avoid being hit, and before Nihei could fire, Ritar bit his injured hand. Nihei still tried to shoot, but another wolf, Ritar's mate, attacked and injured him. Ryu jumped in to protect Nihei, but Nihei realized the second wolf was Ritar's wife. To a wife, he said, a battle between two males doesn't matter. He smiled, satisfied with the fight. Sugimoto and Shiroishi arrived and rescued Asurpa. Ritar's pups appeared too, and Asurpa was happy to learn that Ritar had a family. She realized it was them who called Ritar away that night when he had left her. Tanigaki returned and went to Nihei, saying, May you be born again and hear pleasant sounds. They took Tanigaki with them since he was near death, and Ryu too, as the dog would stay beside Nihei's corpse forever otherwise. Sugimoto also took Nihei's tattooed skin. Back at Asurpa's village, they discussed the gold. They realized it wasn't just 20 kin worth. Tanigaki revealed that Tsurumi had better intelligence and believed that Naparebo had spread false information. Anyone could carry 20 kin on their own, he said, but there's actually far more, maybe 1,000 times more. Shiraishi was shocked. 20,000 can. I could buy so many women, and I can eat so many peanuts.
Bruh.
He added, Tsurumi is a strange one. He said he'll take over the 7th Division HQ in Asahikawa. But why? If you had that much gold, wouldn't you just split it with your friends and live in luxury? Sugimoto replied, probably because of the siege of Port Arthur. Tanigaki explained, even though we won the war, more than half of the 7th Division died taking 203 Hill. The chief of staff wanted glory and led a suicidal charge. He later killed himself in remorse. The government blamed us for his suicide. We got no medals, no money, just shame. Tsurumi wants to create a military dictatorship, and he'll lead it. He said we won't just hand out the gold. We'll build a weapons factory in resource-rich Hokkaido. We'll give jobs to orphans, widows, and veterans. That's how he'll repay the dead. Tanigaki added, I don't know why you want the gold, but it's nothing compared to the burden Tsurumi carries. Outside, Shiraishi asked Sugimoto, You're not going to back off after hearing all that, right? Sugimoto replied, No. Tsurumi's done too much damage, even killing his own men. I won't let him have the gold. But I'm also keeping my promise to my partner. Later, Hijikata's group arrived in Otaru, and Shiraishi went to gather intel. But he ran into Ashiyama. Ashiyama grabbed Shiraishi, who took off his jacket to escape. Ashiyama chased him. As he ran, Shiraishi said to the ugly, disgusting store owner and pointed Ashiyama, That man is the one who punched the whore and hurt her. The shopkeeper tried to fight Ashiyama, but Ashiyama charged like a bull and didn't care. Shiraishi kicked a pile of snow down on Ashiyama, but it didn't stop him. Then he slapped a horse's big ass, which made the horse go wild and charge at Ashiyama, but Ashiyama easily knocked it down. Shiraishi ran past some useless 7th Division soldiers. Since he looked nervous, they got suspicious. He told them, That man said I stole his money at the baths, and now he's after me. He's covered in weird tattoos, but he's not Yakuza. The soldiers pointed their guns at Ashiyama. Hijikata said that Naparebo revealed the true amount of gold to him, because they shared the same goal. The gold is only worth a third of the Japanese government's budget, but if they can smuggle it out of the country, its value would increase dramatically. Hijikata began to believe he could really create a new nation. Ashiyama grabbed Shiraishi and threw him at the useless soldiers. One of the soldiers shot Ashiyama, but suddenly there was an explosion. A comrade of Ashiyama was shooting to distract the soldiers, giving Ashiyama a chance to escape. When Tsurumi arrived at the scene, the soldiers reported that one of the escapees was a tattooed prisoner. Another soldier told him that the explosions they heard earlier came from Sakamachi Street. Tsurumi realized that it was all a decoy. Their real target was the bank. At the bank, Hijikata's group stole jewelry, cash, and the sword he was looking for. When Tsurumi got to the bank, he saw the branch manager tied up. He asked what was on the second floor, and the manager replied that it housed the safe deposit vaults for valuables. However, to open them, both the bank key and the owner's key were needed, and the intruders hadn't come upstairs. Tsurumi noticed that the wall was thin. The explosion had been an attempt to break in from behind. They had already taken what they came for. He wondered what was so valuable that they were willing to split into two groups. The branch manager explained that the vaults only held bonds, jewels, and works of art like paintings and katanas owned by the bank. Outside, Hijikata revealed himself to Tsurumi, holding a katana named Izumi no Kami Kanasada. They exchanged gunfire, and Hijikata escaped. Shiraishi asked the women for the clothes they had seen on a tattooed man. He gave the scent to Ryu the dog to track the man, who turned out to be Ashiyama. Nagakura told Ashiyama that another body was found on the Shikotan coast. The head was split with an axe. The last victim's throat had been slit. Both were herring fishermen. Ashiyama realized the killer was Henmi Kazuo, a murderer with over 100 victims who traveled all across Japan. Henmi once said the secret to never getting caught was to keep moving constantly. Unlike someone like Nihei, Henmi's actions were impossible to predict. Ashiyama noticed Shiraishi staring out the window and confronted him. Ryu left Shiraishi behind, and Ashiyama tackled him. Shiraishi dislocated his own shoulder to escape, picked up a nail, and tried to stab Ashiyama in the forehead, but ended up hurting himself instead. Hijikata arrived, and Ashiyama slapped Shiraishi unconscious. When Shiraishi woke up, Hijikata asked him, "What will you do?" Ashiyama said, "We'll let you live, for now, if you let us copy your tattoo." Then Hijikata asked, "You're not working alone, are you?" Shiraishi talked about Sugimoto and bragged that Sugimoto worked for him. Hijikata replied, "Do either of you even have a single tattoo?" Shiraishi admitted, "Nope." Hijikata gave him a choice. "Do we fight each other or work together?" Shiraishi answered, "I'm a pacifist, you see." Hijikata then told him, "Then why don't you start with the skin of Henmi Kazuo?" When Shiraishi rejoined Sugimoto and Asurpa, he explained that the Yanchu were seasonal laborers hired to fish for herring. At this time of year, people gathered from all over, making it the perfect hiding place for an escaped convict. Lately, some Yanchu had turned up dead. The killer was Henmi. Sugimoto asked how he was so sure, and Shiraishi said the same character was carved into all the bodies' backs. Henmi once said, "Killing is as natural as breathing." He looked like a normal man, though. Henmi had once told Shiraishi that he had a brother who was eaten by a boar while he hid and watched. Seeing his brother suffer and die without being able to do anything gave him the urge to kill. The character for I was tattooed on Henmi's body. Sugimoto realized the body they found earlier was also one of Henmi's victims. Asurpa worried that Henmi might go after her uncle, who was on the coast with the others hunting whales. They decided to head to the coast and enjoy some whale meat. The next morning, Sugimoto asked why someone like Henmi, who carefully avoided arrest, would leave clues for others to find him. Shiraishi replied, "I don't even want to think about what goes on in Henmi's head." He explained that large herring fishing zones were located offshore. Fish were processed right after being caught. Henmi might be blending in among the workers. Asurpa's uncle called them over to help with the whale hunt. When a whale surfaced, they threw a spear at it. The whales swam off, pulling their boats, heading toward other fishermen. Shiraishi shouted a warning, but they couldn't hear him. One fisherman fell into the water. Sugimoto told the others to help the man, leaving the whale to Shiraishi. They rescued the drowning man and brought him to a fire. Sugimoto told him to take off his wet clothes to warm up, but the man hesitated. He recognized Shiraishi, and it turned out he was Henmi. He thought, "They must have taken the bait I left and came here searching for a tattooed prisoner." Henmi told Sugimoto he was too shy to undress, so Sugimoto offered him a blanket. Henmi admired Sugimoto, but could smell the scent of a killer on him. After changing, Henmi thanked them and went back to the dorm. While dressing, Henmi muttered that he wanted to know more about Sugimoto. A sick fisherman sleeping nearby noticed Henmi's tattoo. Henmi picked up a weapon and approached the man. Suddenly, Sugimoto knocked on the window and asked Henmi, "Are non-fishermen allowed to stay in the dorms? Can I work to pay for lodging?" Henmi replied he'd ask the boss later. Henmi then explained how herring were processed, gutted at sea, dried, and preserved to ship to the mainland. The leftover parts were turned into fertilizer. They used knives to cut the compressed blocks. Sugimoto tried the knife, and Henmi imagined Sugimoto beheading him, which his sausage aroused. Asurpa suggested they look for Shiroishi, since they still didn't know their enemy's face. Henmi stopped them and invited them to stay for a meal, his way of repaying them for saving him. When Asurpa went to the bathroom, Henmi asked Sugimoto, "Were you at Port Arthur? What was it like? Did you kill anyone?" Sugimoto replied, "Of course, it was war." Henmi asked, "Do you remember how many you killed?" Sugimoto said, "I can't forget their faces, at least those I killed close up." "Is it guilt that makes you remember them?" Henmi asked. Sugimoto answered, "Remembering them is my way of atonement. I had a reason to kill. But in exchange, I don't expect to die peacefully." Henmi's sausage aroused again and thought, "I want him to kill me so badly. I'll try to kill him. Because if he's what I've been looking for, there's no way someone like me could ever truly kill him." Asurpa was shocked to find the corpse that Henmi had killed inside the bathroom. She hurried to Sugimoto to inform it. However, Sugimoto and Henmi had already left the dining area. Outside, Sugimoto asked Henmi what he wanted to show him. In Henmi's mind, he thought, "I need to get him somewhere we won't be interrupted." Henmi handed Sugimoto a hammer and a broom used to crush and spread leftover fish parts for drying. Then he asked, "Which of these would you like to use to split my sausage head open? Or would you prefer this big knife?" Sugimoto simply replied, "Pass," and said they were leaving. Suddenly, Sugimoto noticed some useless 7th Division soldiers near the dormitory door and quickly hid. Henmi realized even the 7th Division is following the bait I set. He dragged Sugimoto with him and headed toward their boss's mansion to hide. Inside the mansion, Tsurumi was already meeting with the fisherman's boss to ask for donations for a new weapon factory. The old boss was interested in weapons, so it was perfect timing. When Henmi and Sugimoto reached the 2nd floor of the mansion, there were soldiers upstairs. One of them noticed Sugimoto's cap. Henmi distracted the soldiers, but they still looked toward the stairs. Fortunately, Sugimoto was hidden. Henmi then slashed one soldier and stabbed another in the eye. However, he got shot and fell down the stairs. Sugimoto carried the wounded Henmi downstairs, where Tsurumi was already waiting. The old fisherman boss aimed his gun at Sugimoto and shot, but Tsurumi stopped him, giving Sugimoto and Henmi a chance to escape. While looking at Sugimoto, Henmi said with awe, "I became obsessed with the way my little brother fought against death. I wanted to see that again and again, so I killed many. The flame of a candle shines brightest before it burns out. When I see you shine, I remember my little brother. I wanted to be like him, like you." Sugimoto reunited with Shiroishi, and they had already captured the whale. Sugimoto informed Shiroishi that the 7th Division was coming, so they needed to hurry. Shiroishi took a closer look at Henmi and recognized him, immediately warning Sugimoto. Henmi tried to attack Sugimoto, but Asurpa shot him with an arrow. Despite the injury, Henmi continued his attack. Sugimoto fought back and stabbed him with a knife. Henmi's sausage aroused by the pain. Shiroishi urged Sugimoto to finish things quickly as the 7th Division was getting close. Henmi lunged again, but Sugimoto dodged and knocked him down. When Sugimoto tried to shoot, his gun jammed, so he stabbed Henmi again. Henmi said, "Will you promise not to forget me?" Sugimoto replied, "I'll remember you every time I look at the tattooed skin I rip off your body." Henmi was pleased by the answer until a repun Kamuy, or orca, suddenly dragged him away. The three followed the orca, while Tsurumi's group chased after them. The orca played with Henmi's body, passing it around, which shocked Henmi as he realized how disgusting his death had become. Sugimoto stripped off his clothes and swam to retrieve Henmi's body. The orca chased him, so he swam quickly back to the boat. Asurpa threw a spear at the orca, which pulled their boat away, helping them escape from Tsurumi's group. Meanwhile, a useless soldier reported to Tsurumi that Ogata had disappeared from the hospital, along with Private First Class Nakaedu Kohei, who had been missing for days. At Asurpa's grandmother's house, Tanigaki had returned, only to be surprised to find Ogata and Kohei there. Tanigaki explained to Ogata what had happened to him. When asked why he didn't return to Tsurumi, he said, "Today's the first day I've been able to walk with a staff. I was planning to stay here for a while to repay them for helping me." Ogata informed him that Corporal Tamai, Noma, and Okada were all missing. None of the other soldiers who were with Tanigaki returned. Kohei pressed Tanigaki, asking what Tamai had told him. Tanigaki denied knowing anything and warned them not to hurt the old lady. Ogata accused him of killing the other soldiers, but Tanigaki denied it, thinking it was all a misunderstanding. Ogata showed Tanigaki's gun and said, "You can try to grab it, but without this, it won't help you much." Kohei also pointed his gun at Asurpa's grandmother. Tanigaki begged them not to hurt anyone. Ogata claimed he was just joking and testing Tanigaki's reaction. He then said, "If you want to stay here and repay your debt, go ahead. I'll pretend I never found you." Before leaving, Ogata asked if Tanigaki had seen Sugimoto, describing him as traveling with an Ainu child and having tattooed skins. Tanigaki lied and said he hadn't seen him. After Ogata and Kohei left, Tanigaki realized he couldn't stay there anymore. He told Asurpa's grandmother that although he wanted to repay them, he had to leave. Since the old woman didn't understand him, he asked Osoma to explain. But Osoma started crying, not wanting Tanigaki to go. Suddenly, Ogata almost shot Tanigaki. Kohei asked why they hadn't just killed him back there, but Ogata said they would have also had to kill the witnesses, and he liked the grandmother too much to do that. Ogata thought, Tanigaki's an honest man. He would never betray Tsurumi. That's what I made clear to Corporal Tamai. But they couldn't persuade him, so they tried to silence him, and he killed them. That's likely what happened. Tanigaki planned to recover, then tell Tsurumi that we betrayed him. Tanigaki wondered how he could fight a master marksman like Ogata with no gun. Ogata bragged that his Type 30 rifle could accurately blow someone's head off even at 300 meters. Damn! Kohei noticed movement near the window. Tanigaki shut it quickly and realized they wanted to kill him because they knew he wouldn't betray Tsurumi. To him, Ogata and Kohei were no longer part of the 7th. They were simply his enemies. Elsewhere, Sugimoto and his group found a place to stay. While Asurpa was sleeping, an old man entered and lifted her. Shiraishi was shocked. It was Hijikata. He asked Sugimoto for Asurpa's Japanese name, but Sugimoto admitted he had never asked. Hijikata handed Asurpa to Shiraishi and whispered to him to make copies of the tattoos. Back at the house, Tanigaki used binoculars at the window, but Ogata shot at him. Tanigaki threw something to create a smoke screen and tried to escape. Ogata changed positions. Before fleeing through the back, Osoma handed Tanigaki Nihei's rifle. By the time Ogata and Kohei reached the back of the house, Tanigaki was gone. But he can't get too far, wounded as he is, Ogata said. Ogata added, "Time to go Tanigaki hunting." Kohei found Tanigaki's tracks and couldn't believe whether Tanigaki was really injured. Ogata told him, hurt or not, he's a Mitagi. He knows everything there is to know about moving around in the mountains. Tanigaki had found bear tracks and deliberately stepped in them to confuse Ogata and Kohei. Eventually, they lost Tanigaki's trail, and since it was getting dark, Kohei didn't care what Tanigaki might tell Tsurumi. He wasn't interested in the gold. He just wanted to kill Sugimoto as soon as goddamn possible. As the cold intensified, Kohei suggested they gather firewood, but Ogata refused, saying Tanigaki would find out where they were and attack that night. Kohei didn't mind, saying they wouldn't waste their energy tracking Tanigaki anymore. "I'm sick of freezing my ugly ass off in Hokkaido, of working for the military of everything. I want to go back home to Shizuoka." The next morning, they spotted smoke in the distance and assumed it wasn't from Tanigaki, since he wouldn't risk lighting a fire. Ogata said, "We'll sneak up on it." The two of them approached, and Ogata told Kohei, "Go take a look. If those are Tanigaki's tracks, give me a signal. I'll back you up from here. It's 100 meters at most. No matter who it is, I won't miss." Kohei reached the fire and saw Tanigaki's tracks, so he signaled Ogata. Ogata immediately realized it was a trap. Meanwhile, Tanigaki was nearby, waiting for Ogata to reveal himself. As Kohei warmed himself by the fire, he was suddenly attacked by a bear. Tanigaki waited for Ogata to help Kohei, knowing the gunfire would give away his position. Kohei screamed for help, and Ogata finally shot the bear, causing it to flee. Ogata, thinking Tanigaki had no weapon, confidently revealed himself, only for Tanigaki to shoot him quickly. Just then, Tanigaki's friend Mishima appeared. Tanigaki asked why he was there, and Mishima explained. Ogata and Kohei were being tracked the entire time. Their locations were being reported to Tsurumi. Tsurumi was using them to draw out the other rebels. I wasn't going to intervene until Ogata made contact with Corporal Tamai's group, but you defeated them. Mishima also said he knew Tanigaki hadn't betrayed them. That's why they came after you. With Tsurumi approaching, they needed to go back and confront him directly. Tanigaki hesitated, and suddenly Ogata, who was still alive, shot Mishima. Tsurumi and his men arrived and opened fire on Ogata. One of Tsurumi's soldiers saw both Kohei and Mishima. Ogata shot two of the useless soldiers to slow them down and escape. Tanigaki didn't return to Tsurumi's group. Kohei was captured, tied up, and brutally tortured. They even cut off another of his ears. Tsurumi asked who else is betraying us, and threatened to slice Kohei's nose off. But Kohei didn't care. Tsurumi promised, I'll let you kill Sugimoto. So Kohei revealed that Komiya was the traitor. Tsurumi then killed Komiya. Meanwhile, due to Shiraishi's uselessness, he fell into a river and was almost eaten by an E1 one-shep Kamuy. Fortunately, a man saved him, someone Usurpa knew, Kirarenki, a friend of her father. Kirarenki recognized Sugimoto as Immortal Sugimoto, and Sugimoto asked how he got his nickname. Kirarenki said he was from the 7th Division, but didn't know Tsurumi because he had served under a different lieutenant and had left the army long ago. He explained that he recognized Sugimoto from his name and facial scar. I didn't expect to see a war hero out here. Sugimoto disagreed, saying, I'm not a hero. I just didn't die when I should have. Kirarenki asked Usurpa why she was traveling with Sugimoto and Shiraishi. Usurpa replied, Sugimoto is my partner. Shiraishi is an ugly, disgusting moron. Kirarenki said, if you say so, then they can be trusted. He then told Usurpa that an old Japanese man had come to his village, looking for a certain woman, Kokobe Asuko. Usurpa was shocked. That was her Japanese name, known only to her parents. Kirarenki said, I already knew what happened in Abashiri prison. Naparebo gave the prisoners a hint to contact his allies outside. Kokobe Asuko in Otaru. Naparebo was trying to entrust the gold to Usurpa. Naparebo is your father. Usurpa couldn't believe it. She didn't think her father could have killed Ainu and stolen the gold. Sugimoto asked Kirarenki how he knew Usurpa's Japanese name, and Kirarenki replied, I came to Japan with her father. Hijikata informed Nagakura that Naparebo was not an Ainu from Japan. Based on the route he took after stealing the gold, he planned to pass through Otaru and eventually leave the country. Usurpa decided she wouldn't believe any of it until she saw Naparebo herself. If he really is my father, he should be willing to tell me everything. Kirarenki agreed. It's easier than finding all the prisoners scattered around Hokkaido. At least you know where he is. But Shiraishi warned them. It ain't that easy. I've escaped from prisons all over Japan, and Abashiri is the worst of the lot. There's no way you'll be able to meet him. That is, without my help. Shiraishi showed his tattoo to Kirarenki, who immediately realized the truth. The prisoners had to be skinned to decode the map, and only Usurpa's father could read it. Kirarenki asked Sugimoto if he had more tattoos. Sugimoto lied and said he didn't. Kirarenki said, as someone who comes from the same country as Naparebo, I feel responsible for the gold being stolen. I don't care if you keep a fair share for yourselves, but the rest must be returned to the Ainu. I want to see that happen. Back in Usurpa's village, they planned their journey to Abashiri prison. Tanigaki mentioned that the 7th Division's headquarters were in Asahikawa, and someone there was working under Tsurumi, Lieutenant Colonel Yadagawa. During the Battle of Hill 203, Tsurumi repeatedly pointed out flaws in Yadagawa's plans, but each time, the records were erased. Since then, Yadagawa had no choice but to obey Tsurumi. Kirarenki said, we're bound to run into a fight somewhere, and pointed them toward Sapporo, where he knew a gunsmith. We can buy weapons and explosives cheap there without worrying about being tracked. Outside, Shiraishi asked Sugimoto if he was really sure about trusting Kirarenki. Sugimoto replied, I don't trust you either. But if Usurpa likes him, he can't be all bad. The next morning, the group of 4 set out. Usurpa left her grandmother in Tanigaki's care. Sapporo was a city designed with a strict layout to serve as the center of the Hokkaido settlement effort. At the time, it wasn't as populated as Otaru, but it grew quickly thanks to the success of the munitions industry during the Russo-Japanese War. Shiraishi asked an ugly Store owner, is there a place around here where we can sleep? We're tired from a long journey. The store owner replied, I know of an old hotel. A young woman took over recently. She's quite the sexy lady. When Shiraishi asked for the hotel's name, the owner answered, it's called the Sapporo World Hotel. Ashiyama arrived at the Sapporo World Hotel and was greeted by Ayanaga, who recognized him. She was one of the tattooed prisoners. As she led Ashiyama to his room, he asked if she was a widow. Ayanaga answered, yes. My husband gave me this hotel before he died. Ashiyama said he had heard the hotel was run by an old couple a few years ago. Ayanaga explained that it used to belong to her husband's parents. She then wondered if Ashiyama recognized her. Ashiyama replied flirtatiously, you've got a nice but your voice is just as pleasant as birdsong. I want to hear it all night long. Ayanaga responded, you're too kind. Then she asked, have you eaten yet? If you're in the mood for something unusual, there's a Chinese place nearby. They believe that to heal a part of the body, you should eat that same part from an animal. Ashiyama said there was an old man in Abashiri who believed the same thing. Were you once a doctor? Does that really work? Ayanaga replied, it works wonderfully. Ashiyama joked, then what should I eat to improve my stamina in bed? Ayanaga smiled, I don't think you need that. Ashiyama slammed the wall and said, let me do you. Ayanaga was impressed by his strength. Suddenly, Sugimoto's group arrived. Ayanaga left to meet them, and Ashiyama said, I'll be waiting in my room. As soon as Ayanaga met Sugimoto's group, Shiraishi immediately introduced himself. I'm single, no girlfriend. If you date me, you'll find I'm loyal and passionate. Ayanaga couldn't believe Shiraishi showed up too. She brought the group to their rooms, still unsure if Shiraishi recognized her. She thought it must be a coincidence they both came here at the same time. For now, I want Ashiyama's strong body. It'll bring me closer to creating the perfect human. Shiraishi tried to flirt with Ayanaga again, but she told him, sorry, I'm busy now. Maybe later. Shiraishi didn't listen and followed her. Near Ashiyama's room, Shiraishi accidentally got stuck behind the door when Ashiyama opened it. Neither noticed each other. When Ashiyama went back to his room, Ayanaga pushed Shiraishi off the floor to keep them from meeting. Ayanaga rushed to check on Shiraishi, but Ashiyama stopped her and kissed her. In his rush, his tongue started bleeding, but he liked what happened. Later, Shiraishi lit a fire to see where he was, and was shocked to find a torture room underground. Suddenly, Ayanaga appeared and injected Shiraishi with a sedative. That night, Ashiyama found a hidden switch in his room. He pulled it and discovered a hole in the floor. Thinking Ayanaga might be there, he went down. Shiraishi, still groggy, begged for help. But Ashiyama, drunk, mistook him for Ayanaga and sexually assaulted him. Shiraishi pleaded, remember, the proprietress is the old tattooed prisoner who used to be a doctor. But Ashiyama was too consumed by lust. I'm not leaving this hotel until I sleep with the proprietress, he said. Shiraishi realized Ashiyama had lost control and left him there. Meanwhile, Ayanaga was in Asurpa and Sugimoto's room, planning to steal Asurpa's eye. But Sugimoto kicked Ayanaga and asked how she got in, since he had blocked the door. Shiraishi knocked and yelled, this hotel is insane. There are dead bodies in an underground torture room. The proprietress is a tattooed prisoner. She's the doctor I told you about, the one who kidnapped people and experimented on them. Sugimoto realized Ayanaga is the old man who believed in eating body parts to cure illness. She killed tons of people and now wants Asurpa's beautiful eyes. Ayanaga replied, youth, strength, beauty. Everyone wants what they can't have. Humans are greedy creatures. But look, I'm right. Sugimoto said, no one's going to believe that crap. But you're right about one thing. Humans are greedy. I'm planning to rip your tattoo right off you. Ayanaga tried to stab Asurpa with a syringe, but Sugimoto grabbed it. She escaped and warned Shiraishi. While escaping, she ran into the lust-driven Ashiyama again. Shiraishi woke up Kirarenki and told him they had to leave. Ayanaga suddenly appeared through the wall, chasing Shiraishi. Ashiyama chased her too. Shiraishi threw a grenade at Ayanaga. It exploded. Both Ayanaga and Ashiyama survived and ran into Sugimoto. Ayanaga told Sugimoto, Ashiyama is also a tattooed prisoner. Ashiyama woke up from his lust-driven state and tackled Sugimoto. They wrestled. Ayanaga decided the hotel was useless now, so she planned to destroy it. Ashiyama threw Sugimoto into the ceiling. A trapdoor opened, and Sugimoto fell into the basement. As Ayanaga stepped outside, Shiraishi threw another grenade, hitting her again. In the basement, Sugimoto noticed alcohol spilled on the floor. Suddenly, fire began to fall. He ran. Shiraishi bumped into Ashiyama, who asked, "What are you doing here?" Realizing Ashiyama had regained his senses, Shiraishi pretended, "What about you? Weren't we supposed to meet tomorrow?" Ashiyama realized the man he had fought earlier was Immortal Sugimoto. Shiraishi noticed smoke from below and said they had to escape. Ashiyama told Shiraishi he had a message from Hijikata. "Always keep us informed of your whereabouts. Don't think you can trick me." Shiraishi looked for his bag, but tripped and dropped it into the basement. He ran after it, shouting, "There's a bomb inside." Ashiyama found Ayanaga and helped her. The bomb exploded, but Sugimoto's group escaped. Ashiyama and Ayanaga also survived after the others had already fled. Shiraishi gave Ashiyama a copy of Henmi's tattoo. In return, Ashiyama showed him that Ayanaga was still alive. Shiraishi asked, "Is it okay to let a doctor see him?" Ashiyama answered, "They didn't see the tattoos. We're just borrowing the room." Shiraishi asked, "Is there any reason to let a guy like this live?" Ashiyama replied, "I heard something interesting from him." Since Shiraishi already used up the bombs they had bought, they needed money again to buy more explosives. Aserpa said, "There's a koten in Naganuma, near here. I have relatives there. We can hunt to make some money." In Naganuma, Aserpa introduced them to her grandmother's brother. He let them stay in his sais for the night. He told them, "A strange woman came here a while ago and is staying in the village. She says she can see the past and future, and she's driving everyone crazy." The woman appeared. Her name was Inkermat. Shiraishi was attracted to her and immediately started flirting. Inkermat guessed they had come from Otaru, which surprised everyone. Aserpa whispered to Sugimoto, "She probably just heard that my great-uncle had many relatives in Otaru." Inkermat said, "I can see it. You're looking for someone or something." Shiraishi was amazed that her guess was right again. She introduced herself as a fortune teller. The Ainu call it Naiwak. When they're unsure about anything, big or small, they rely on fortune telling. They treat the result as the will of the gods. Saraki Kamuy is a fox skull used in this practice. It's been passed down in my family for generations. It's a skull of a white fox, which has the most spiritual power. First, you place the lower jaw on your head, then slowly drop it. How it lands determines your future. If the teeth face up, that's a good sign. Inkermat told their fortune. The skull's teeth were facing down. "There is no hope for you," she said. "I feel an ominous sign. You should cancel your plans." Aserpa responded, "She's just making guesses that could apply to anything. I don't believe in fortune telling. I'm a new kind of Ainu woman." Inkermat asked, "Is it your father that you're looking for?" Aserpa was shocked, but Inkermat said, "It's just a guess. Don't let it bother you." That night, Kirarenki said, "Her fortunes are strangely accurate. The villagers are going crazy, giving her gifts." Aserpa replied, "She probably goes from village to village doing this." The next morning, Shiraishi was missing. Kirarenki said he knew where he was. Shiraishi, along with Inkermat at the Naganuma racetrack. Shiraishi wanted to get rich using her fortune telling. Inkermat predicted the fourth horse would win, and it did. Shiraishi was thrilled. When Sugimoto, Aserpa, and Kirarenki arrived, Shiraishi was celebrating. He arrogantly said, "I thought I smelled poor people. It's you guys, huh?"
Ew, poor!
Aserpa hit him to snap him out of it. "If you use fortune-telling to gamble, you'll regret it," she warned. "Don't let that fox woman fool you." Kirarenki said, "The most likely winners next are horses number 3 and 4. Shiraishi asked, "You can tell fortunes too?" Kirarenki replied, "I grew up riding horses. During the Russo-Japanese War, I took care of the engineers' horses." Kirarenki picked up a cap and was mistaken for a jockey because the real one had run away. A man asked, "Do you ride horses?" Kirarenki agreed. The man explained, "The horse's owner is a Yakuza boss. He told his jockey to cheat, so the jockey ran. The boss wants an unpopular horse to win. If we fail, we'll be in big trouble." They saw a horse going wild. Kirarenki asked what they were doing. The man replied, "That's the horse that's supposed to win." They mixed powdered viper into its water and poured it down with a rubber hose. Sometimes they kill the horse by accident. Kirarenki told Sugimoto, "Bet on me. I'll win this race." Despite that, Shiraishi still trusted Inkermat. She said horse number 6 would win. A Serpa warned him again. Fortune-telling is only useful when you're unsure. I know what I'm doing, so I don't need it. Inkermat insisted number 6 would win, and Shiraishi, obsessed with gambling, gave her his money to place the bet. A Serpa tried to stop her, but it was too late. Inkermat told her, wouldn't it be better for you if he lost? If they get rich, will they still help you? Shiraishi told Sugimoto, there's a way to make money without risking our lives. Sugimoto replied, I already have the money I need, so I'm out. But could I really say that to a Serpa? Inkermat said a Serpa had beautiful eyes, like her father's. Then she threw the ticket to a Serpa and disappeared. Before the race, the man reminded Kirarenki, horse number 6 has to win. If not, we'll all die. The race started. Someone hit Kirarenki in the face, and he fell behind. Other jockeys were cheating by punching each other. One jockey in front of Kirarenki got punched, but Kirarenki jumped to dodge and started catching up. A Serpa looked at the ticket Inkermat had thrown and saw one ticket for horse number 3. Kirarenki overtook horse number 6 and won. Kirarenki said to Sugimoto, let's get out of here. The Yakuza boss lost a lot of money. He'll be after me. Shiraishi was heartbroken, realizing Inkermat had tricked him. Meanwhile, Ogata was waiting for Hijikata and had one of the tattooed skins. Hijikata asked, what are you after? Ogata said, I followed you here after hearing rumors about the tattoos. When I saw you at the barber, I knew it was you. I used to work for Tsurumi, so I know you well. Do you need a bodyguard? Hijikata to Shizo. Later, Shiraishi shared a new tip. I heard this from a cute girl in Susukino. A month ago, a man came to her hotel alone. He was a thief. He sneaked into a house and saw something creepy, human taxidermy. One of the skins had a strange tattoo, not from a Yakuza. She said that house is in Yubari. We don't even know if the Abashiri plan will work, right? If we find info about the tattoos on the way, I think it's worth checking out. Sugimoto agreed. We already have 5 tattooed skins. In Yubari, Tsurumi told Tsukishima, keep your eyes on that grave. It was dug right after the coal mine accident yesterday. Tsukishima asked, do you think they'll take the bait? Tsurumi said, word about the coal mine accident will spread fast in Yubari. I'm sure the grave robber will hear it too. Tsukishima spotted the grave robber, but Kohei stepped on something and startled him. The grave robber ran. Kohei and Tsukishima chased him. Tsurumi picked up a pair of gloves dropped by the man. As he put them on, he said, let's bring it to him.